Do you guys want to know like the weird stuff about yoga? Normal, but it's weird to us because we're all in our heads. But it's just divine technology, and you're divine. So it's human technology to heal yourself. And the point of healing yourself is, one, you take your power back because you know that you're able to provide for your vessel. Nothing outside of you could do that. And then the standard that you live your life is that miracles are innate. Like that's super normal thing. Because as you journey into the healing of your body, you realize how miraculous this vessel is and how it can repair itself, how it can change its DNA, how it can Google epigenetics, this whole concept of being stuck in our broken bodies because it was just passed down to us from our inner genes that's the pseudoscience. Like there's definitely predispositions, don't get me wrong. And these are, cyclical patterns often too. So it's what we learn, the behaviors that we learn from our parents, and the food habits and the exercise habits. And we don't want to, quite take a look at that. And so yoga makes you face yourself. It makes you face the parts of you that are ready to shed, to make space for the parts of you that are wholly divine right here, right now. So I think that's cool, but the way to do it is to ground it in the physical reality. That's why we come to the body first. That's why we usually start our yoga with asana practice, and we are able to get all this craziness out of the memory, the storing that's in the body, the muscles, because we're able to ground. Because as we go, higher into more of the nebulousness of the mind and the dream world, right? We need it to manifest form. We can't just have only psychedelic experiences all the time. That's extremely unrelatable, and the point of being a human is to take care of one another. We're super social creatures. Like, we need to tribe up if we're going to make the world a better place. And so I can definitely speak on this one, is that it is an escape to always want to feel the bliss and the joy and have these crazy cosmic experiences and try mind-altering substance. And that's all great because you're on your journey and nothing's without a reason. But the point of yoga is to find your dharma or your purpose, like so many different schools of thoughts and spiritual practices point to, is that every life that you're here on earth, just the fact that you're here on earth right now as a human being, and you could totally maybe be a pug, which is super helpful, but like you're this like what is a human? The fact that I'm even talking right now and breathing is a miracle, and same with you. So we find our dharma, our purpose, and then that drives us. And in order to anchor into that, we have to spend a little bit of time every day centering ourselves, spending time in prayer or spending time breathing. There's so many tools just to come back, not outside, not scrolling, just here and now. And I want to comment on using mind-altering substances because there's something to consider. How an apple is consciousness to your body, right? You take in the apple, it gives your gut information, and with that information it heals or does whatever. If you eat a bunch of sugar, that information is not is depleting, right? So input, output, it's all consciousness. Whatever we digest, including our sensory experience, the people in our lives and the things we're listening to, but what we take into our bodies, you need it to be as pure as you can get it. You want to know where it's grown, if it's cannabis, if it's psychedelics. Like, make sure it's as pure as it can be, and go into that space with intention, with sweetness, asking to connect, asking to be protected, and ask to have an experience to bring you to the greater good, to have some great realizations. And that's some people's paths. But I also want you to consider that that experience is just a tiny snippet of what you're seeing is just intelligence. That's why if you have a trip, you see like sacred geometry and fractals and the walls melt. Like, you're kind of seeing beyond the veil, because technically this is just a bunch of really fast vibrating atoms. My body it feels solid because the atoms push back on one another, but everything has space in it. And that space in the cell, within the nucleus, that deep connection connects to and vibrates with everything else around me, including the hard ground and something that's a living being. It's all interacting, it's all interfacing. This is the matrix. So if we are expanding and altering our minds, we just want to do it in a way that we don't lose our ground, so we can come back home to this vessel. We expand so much so, then we might kind of expect that to be our regular reality, and it can feel disappointing to not, be seeing, I don't know. And to come back to my point a minute ago, is that with meditation and yoga, you're also accessing that from your own natural, production of the various hormones. Because when we take drugs, it's essentially releasing what's already there in most cases. Just flooding your system with dopamine or whatever it is. And so we can access that with our own breath and focused awareness. Like, it's trippy, except for we can come back and without that drop or the 3 days later of being tired. And it's just way easier to integrate the lessons that we learn. We can remember them. We can journal right after. And consider like a sadhana practice. So often a lot of people, this is a practice, waking up at, between 3 in the morning to 6 in the morning, as early as you can get, but 3:30 is the best. It's the element of ether at that time. And you can feel it, like anytime you wake up early or dawn patrol in the morning, surf, it feels so magic. Like, you're just more connected to the presence of, peace and, that sense of you're not alone is kind of the best way to experience it. And that time, without everybody else in the world awake too, you have less, feedback or just things bouncing off, less interference. And so it's much easier to focus when you meditate. And so we build this sort of within ability to tap in. It's like this river. And as soon as you sit down, you can feel it viscerally. Like, I have an altar in my room, or it's just a space to meditate. And I like watching people walk down the hall and then open the room that has the altar, and more than once have people been like, your room feels so good. And it's every single morning I sit and ask for more divine help, and it comes and floods in. And so we make these light streams. And so you step into the river, you step into the tube every day. And so if you can imagine a fast river, what is in your body, what's in your field that's, stagnant or not serving, it sort of just vaporizes. And we keep building the strength, that connection, and it gets more potent. And then we're able to drop into that ethereal space much easier. And just go down the river. And it's simple. That's the other thing. Like when we expand too fast, we're not ready for it, it's very overstimulating. You're like, wait, what? Like, I can read minds? Like, it's a lot. Like, and so if we can go at it as designed, one day at a time, one practice at a time, it's just easier to connect with people still, and to be a source that is also just as pure as possible. And so the love that pours from you to everyone has divine technology all over it. And so that might sound like a little out there, and I want to make mysticism practical. So a little way to just digest this information is just to take a seat, put a hand on the heart, put a hand on the belly, a little bit of earth, a little bit of heaven right underneath your hands. And then just look at the tip of your nose and kind of turn the volume down on the periphery, on the outside. Relax the face. And then try to send your awareness to the very top of your head, wherever you think that point is, and then reach it a little higher to the sky. Then send your awareness down into your hips and imagine where your tailbone is. Notice if it's maybe pointing off to one side or curled forward or backward, and just do your best to sort of reach it down and tuck it just a bit. So your spine's super long. Your antenna, your receiver, the channel of your nervous system that's transferring electricity is nice and in its most efficient and practical space. And then take a big breath into your hand that's on your belly. And as you exhale, pull in, like really suck your hand in. Let out all the air. And notice if you took your heart hand with you. Then in your next breath, really open up these two hands, spread them apart. Breathing up and down. But try not to lose that tall spine. Keep elongating through the crown and the tailbone. And the next breath, just try to breathe into just the hand of the heart. And let it go. And one more breath, expanding into both the belly and the heart. Full lungs. Nice, and then rub your hands together in front of you. Take your thumb, put it on the base, just right behind your teeth. And then point your fingers up. Notice how you stack your spine. Stay there and then take your thumbs to your third eye center, nice and tall. Breathe into the back of the heart, the shoulders. And then take your hands right to the very top of your head and place them there. Keep your spine long, pull the ribs in. Big inhale. Still looking at the tip of the nose. Relax the base, the pelvis, as you stretch up, 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 up. And then imagine yourself as an antenna. And reach that antenna down beyond the hips into the earth, to the very center. And then feel the feedback come back up the antenna from the earth up into your vessel, all the way out the top of your head. And then keep extending beyond your head, beyond your hands, all the way past the ozone, the stratosphere, beyond, beyond, beyond. And here you are, anchored between heaven and earth. Take a big breath into your belly. Just continue imagining this feedback loop going down your spine, deep into the earth. And then from the earth, all this energy coming up the base of the spine, up your antenna to heaven and back down. And consider how that ability to sense that which is true, because you are an antenna in between heaven and earth. And consider how practical it would be to know that you're a walking miracle. How practical it would be that every single time you breathed, it felt like a gift. And how practical and motivating would it be to know that you're here for a reason. How wonderful to know that you are uniquely made. And that you're always divinely protected. And that nothing that has happened to you in the past was to harm you. It was to evolve you. And here you are now. How precious you made it to here and now. And consider knowing all of this, that perhaps you're able to design through choice what happens next. And maybe you want a little help. And you want to feel surrendered to that which might know a little more wisdom than that which we've acquired from past experience. That maybe whatever is calling to you from the future is worth listening to. And it's a soft, quiet, and extraordinarily, magnificently booming at the same time internal voice, and the spirited matters of you. What will you do with that potential? Take a moment to ask. And then grounding that energy, slowly take your hands down, tapping your third eye center. Lowering down, tapping the heart center. And then taking your hands to your legs. Feeling this energy come down the hands, down the legs, into the earth. Big full breath, big pug snore. I guess the vibes are peaceful in here. Now just be as you are, wholly divine, wholly human. How sweetly powerful you are. Thank you for sharing this space with me.